Most of my work is anonymous, so when people come by, I want them to think about the content. I don't want them to wonder whether it's art or much less good or bad art. I want them to think about the subject matter. I like both real art audiences and the general public. My work has almost split into two parts, one for anybody who might be passing by in the street, and then the other part for museums and for galleries. This is a balanced way of life. I'm often worried, so that's a good impetus to make me work. I read the news a lot, and there's always something there to launch me. When I start a new project, sometimes it will be a location or an object that will get me going, and other times it will be an event in the world or something that's on my mind that will begin the process. And sometimes, when I'm lucky, these things happen simultaneously. Once I moved to New York, I had to figure out how to put my work out, and so I went to street posters. I wrote a number of one-liners and put them on posters and plastered them in as many places as I could find. I would wait until dark and then sneak around and put my posters any place real posters went. So I would cover over bank posters or music posters, what have you. I love working outside so that I can place all kinds of different subject matter in front of as many people as possible. Recently I've been doing projections so that we can have text scrolling by on buildings or on mountains or on waves, and that way entertain and worry people. It was interesting for me to move from the street posters to the big electronic signs in places like Times Square, because then I had an audience from all over the world, and it was the challenge for me to see what I could present to them and to see whether it was of interest. I'm never worried about people mistaking my things for commercials because the subject is quite different, but about absorbing the message in addition to just reading it. I like when the presentation is so visual that you feel it as well as know it. I put material out and invite people to consider it. That's a nice thing about the public pieces, people can walk on by. To use your words, yes, I work like a maniac around the clock, and my kid at times has hated me for it, but I think she's beginning to forgive me as she gets older. It was perfect and a nightmare when I had a baby and did a show at Dia and the Guggenheim and the Venice Biennale. Not a good idea to combine these things. Yeah, I'm an extremely private person, and that's what sustains the rest, I think. I've lived all over downtown, off and on, for years, and this was my postering territory. I would go out and plaster things up as long as I was able. I was only arrested once. He let me go. The police let me go after I explained it was only art. I think it's one of the few times art proved to be useful. I was working as a typesetter, so I was all warmed up to make my own posters. And then once I printed them, I had them at hand, and I could go paste them anywhere posters could go. I had some kind of ethics. I would only put them on dirty buildings. We're on Broadway again. That was postering central. This was the perfect place to put up any number of broadsides for people to write on. Often people would write messages back to me or would scratch out things that they absolutely hated. I was desperate to move to New York, and I think the city helped me figure out what to do and gave me enough rocket fuel to do it. I like hotel life because it's simpler than cleaning your apartment, so I stay in New York hotels with great frequency and leave CNN on so I can obsess about what's happening in the world. Yeah, oddly enough, the next project is right here at NYU. We're going to do xenon projections on the exterior of the library, and we are able to show some of the declassified documents that I was talking about before, things about what's going on in Guantanamo and elsewhere in the Middle East. We're coming up on the library at NYU. This is where we will have the document projections. I think we will be able to use both sides, and I'm happy about that because there's so many people walking by here every night. Working on the livery of the car was definitely a departure for me. It wasn't an electronic sign and it wasn't a poster, so it was a new design challenge. I thought about the audience that would be at Le Mans because that was what was given to me as the problem to solve, and beyond that I thought of anybody who might be there on purpose or by accident. Yeah, I tried to design the car and choose the text so that it made sense for a racing public. Not that I really knew what a racing public was. I wanted the car to look good at night, so we had it glow in the dark, and I wanted it to reflect light so that it would be distinctive in the daytime, and I wanted to choose text that would at least make people laugh or maybe be a little anxious. Yes, when I was working on it, I first thought of it as a car because that's what it was, and that's what it is. If I was going to do a car, I think doing a racing car was nice. Like many people, prefer speed, and they're beautiful to see and to run your hands over as a treat. I also thought it would be nice if women could participate in some fashion other than standing around in bikinis and going behold. So. This is completely embarrassing, but I like my car. I have to say, I think it's a good looking car.
Yeah. So why do you like your car?
I like my car because it says difficult things, and it glows in the dark, and it reflects the sky, and it's white and shiny and goes fast and makes a lot of noise.
Outlast me. Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You just don't want to take the angles, so I get something in the actual.
Yeah, if possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a better idea to maybe do something on the side of the building
Oh, that could
rather
be
than
fun, actually.
We should think. I mean, it all depends obviously on weather,
Yeah.
but
Like a wedding, we should provide
Yeah.
for indoor and outdoor.
that's right.
Keep scrolling slowly and pause it. You can talk.
Okay.
That
I
would-
love. Maybe we should start with no hierarchies on the very.
All right.
On the very.
You work?
No hierarchies, up a little more. Whoa.
Just beyond of hate.
Yeah, what we're trying to not get is this section.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, I'm going to do a horizontal next.
Okay, yeah, because Paul would like one that doesn't have any of the green Bryant Park.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'll just do a horizontal and then whoever lays,
Alright.
as long as I've got the roof.
Fair enough.
All right.
These are projections at the New York Public Library. We tried to find 3 good spots in New York. One is at Rockefeller Center, another at New York University, and the last one here is at the library. At Rockefeller Center, we will show a number of poems, and at the library, we will show declassified, formerly secret U.S. government documents, and here at the New York Public Library will be poetry again. I've been doing these xenon projections since around 1996. We started in Italy and have gradually worked our way around the world. And I'm happy to be working at home in New York again. For so many years I was in Europe, and it's a pleasure to return to this city.
Dann mache ich es so. Da braucht dann auch die Kontur, oder? Und alles.
Ja.
Ich glaube, wir können es lieber ein bisschen verschieben.
Dann ist er jetzt so schräg.
Ich könnte noch ein bisschen so.
Du kannst nicht da oben.
Nein, so drüllen geht nicht.
Also das ist eigentlich, wie gesagt,
Ja, mit dem Filet kommen wir schon durch. Oder?
den habe ich
Kann ich da
den
drauf?
geht.
Stimmt das?
No, stimmt schon, stimmt, okay.
Ja. Da vorne kommen wir ein bisschen näher.
No, they work, but they're miles out.
I had to find the right sentences, the words that would make sense, the proper content, and then I had to fold these sentences over the body of the car, and then I had to make it glow at night and look good in the daytime. I had to have it make sense when quiet and when going as fast as possible.
I think that's a clever marriage of a cerebral artist with this very popular and fast-moving object. So it's not what you'd consider a natural fit, but my impression is that in her way, Jenny made it work nicely. And I think in choosing the phrase, "protect me from what I want," she's putting a message in front of a very unlikely and highly receptive audience, because these are people who typically look at race cars and recognize the significance of the various logos and supporters and underwriters of the car, and therefore they are visually acute in reading the car as a literary carrier. So for her to put a message, more than one in fact, that sort of runs counter to what they might consider received wisdom is typical of her ability to turn the canoe over.
Il n'y a pas d'extrême différence, puisque le but même d'une art car, c'est de participer à une fête populaire, un événement populaire qui est fait pour le plus grand nombre, celui de la course automobile. Pas pour des initiés qui vont dans un musée, mais pour le peuple. Et à cet égard, la démarche de Calder et la démarche de Jeff Koons étaient très semblables. Alors il y a les rêves et il y a les souhaits. Alors ça n'est pas la même chose. Le rêve, c'est que je me retrouve ici avec vous pour fêter les 50 ans des art cars. Et le souhait, c'est que BMW continue à les montrer. Comme ils ont la charge de les prêter dans les manifestations et ils le font très très bien. C'est que j'ai eu un partenaire idéal avec BMW, un partenaire d'élite, vous savez, qui a compris la grandeur de ces voitures et qui a assumé la charge de les montrer dans le monde entier. Je ne pouvais pas trouver mieux.